Guys, we're back again. Welcome back to my YouTube channel where we learn everything ethical hacking. So, if you are just joining me, do well to hit the subscribe button, and of course, don't forget to like, share, and comment on my videos. And lastly, do turn on the notification bell so that you don't get to miss any of my updates. So, as promised, we are back again with advanced bash scripting, right? So, bash scripting, we started with the introduction to bash scripting, and we are here with the advanced bash scripting. So I will be showing us very quickly how we can automate our scans using advanced bash scripting. So this particular lesson is usually beneficial if you're working with a large scope, right? By large scope, I mean when you have a large set of IP in subnet. Now, I mean to say, right, when you're trying to perform scans on a larger scope, when we're dealing with subnet ranging from 20, 30, 40, and the likes, as the case may be. So this particular lesson will help you automate your scans and you get your result in split seconds. All right, so sit back, sit tight, relax as I take you through the sprint. I'm sure, I'm certain you're gonna enjoy this lesson. Hi guys, so to begin, we will be using our Kali Linux and a vulnerable lab called Metasploitable 2. So our Kali Linux is up. I'll just quickly start our Metasploitable 2. Don't worry if you don't have it set up. I would add a download link where you can download Metasploitable 2. All right, so I will add it at the end of this lesson. You will see a link where you can download your Metasploitable 2. All right, so once this is up, so we will be scanning this particular machine. We'll be using this machine as a test scan, right? So once it's up, we'll just obtain the IP address and we'll come back to our Kali Linux to perform scan on this machine. In the course of this lesson, as we progress, I will be teaching you how to, when we go deep into hacking, we will be hacking this particular machine in the course of the lesson. But for today, I will be using it just to perform a scan. All right, so our Metasploitable is up. So I'll just quickly login credential MSF. MSF admin is a credential MSF admin and password MSF admin. So this is a vulnerable lab. All right, so we are in. I'll just quickly check the let's check the IP address. You can just do ifconfig here to see our IP address. So our IP address is 192.168.23.29. So this is the IP address that we will be performing these scans on. So let's come back to Kali. Let's go back to Kali. But how about I tell you that there's another way you can actually check this IP address from your Kali terminal, right? So there's something called host discovery. So this will help you discover all the active hosts on your local network. So we use the command that says sudo net discover this way, and all you need to do is hit enter. Okay, you just give it password. All right, so we'll just wait for it. In split seconds, the result should be out. So this will scan all the hosts on the local network as long as they're on the same range. So you can see this is scanning for .16. So this is a wide range of 192.168. Okay, so you can see result is already up. It identified 4 hosts that are up. So the reason why we could see this particular IP address is because they are all on the same local network.
So looking at the screen now, just disregard the line 1, the one showing 1 and the one showing 2. So all we need is the one showing. You can see our IP address .129 there. So as long as they are on the same local network, by doing net discover now, you will see all the hosts that are on that particular network.
Right, so I'll just stop that. And if you want to see our own current IP address of this particular machine, if I do ifconfig, for instance, you can see our own IP here is 128.128, right? So they are on the same subnet, right? So my Kali is on 128 and our metasploit table is on 129 as seen. So this is one way to find out all the active hosts on your local network, right? So I will just quickly clear this as we progress. Okay, so to begin, let's launch our mousepad. We'll just create a file. Let's create a new file called advancedbash.sh. Okay, all right. So terminal mousepad is up. Let's make that bold. I'm not sure what my hope my terminal was bold. All right. So to begin, we'll just start with our syntax. I taught you already. Bin bash and next line, but for those, just in case you didn't quite get the hang of what we did last week. So this first line here, this is the shebang line, specifying that the script should be executed using the bash shell, right? So next line now, let's give a comment what we are trying to achieve. All right, so to begin, what we want to achieve here is that we're trying to write a script that we utilize nmap, and it will scan. Probably it could be a subnet, it could be just a single live host. It will scan for open ports. It will extract the IP address with the open ports and then perform a more detailed scan on those hosts. So you might not quite catch a hang of this particular lesson, because it's better to get a better understanding of this. It's when we are tailoring this to a subnet. But for now, since I don't have a subnet line somewhere to use to carry out this scan, I just want you to pay attention and get the knowledge. Is really, really important, right? Because pen testing, it's different from what you are seeing from the outside. What you see on your lab, like try hackpay and hack the box, just a single IP address. But what do you do when you're dealing with subnet, numbers of subnets in their hundreds? I mean, I've been put to work with 100 plus subnets, and I had to perform a scan on all those subnets. This is not something you do just by manually. You can't achieve this, right? Because you need to work as pro and as fast as you can. You're working under a time frame. When you're being given 2 weeks to perform this carry out this particular VAPT, you don't have the luxury of time. You still have exploitations to do. So bash scripting is one area that you can't shy away from if you want to really advance your skill. So just follow me. I'll try to do this with just a single IP. I'll just try to make do with what I have here. But the whole concept and where this will really span out or play out well is when we are dealing with subnets, numbers of subnets. What are subnets? Subnet is a range of IPs from 0 to 255, right? It could be a /24 subnet or a /16 subnet, as the case may be. So, all right, so let's progress. So I'll just write a comment here so that anybody that is seeing this script will know what this script is actually all about, right? So I will say, for instance, I can just say this script scan the port or scan the target to get live host and ports Okay, so now this is I just give a comment here so that anybody going through the script will understand what the script is all about. So to begin, I'll just write nmap. Just follow me. I will explain this syntax. I will explain all this switch, for instance. /t4 tracking speed -- let's do minimum min rate. Let's do min rate here. Minimum rate. Min rate. Okay, let's do that to be equals to 1000, and next I'll specify my target 192.168 dot uh 23 23.129. I want to believe so now. Dot 23, am I correct? Let me quickly check this. Yes, dot 23.129. So this is my target, and now I will specify where do I want to save this. I will explain this line very quickly. Use the dash O and capital N, and I can just call this scan results. I can just call it scan results. I can just call it scan results dot txt, for instance. Okay, so to explain, what is nmap? So nmap, it's a command line utility that is used for network exploration and security auditing. Basically, it's used for scanning a network to discover the hosts and all the services and the ports that are running on a particular network. So for the dash n is the switch, and this particular switch, what this switch does is to disable DNS resolution, because by default, when you use nmap to carry out a scan on a particular target, like this, take for instance this particular IP address, nmap will want to try to discover the URL, right? The DNS records, the URL that is linked to this particular IP address. And imagine that it's trying to do that when we are dealing with numbers of subnets here. We don't have the time because it will delay the scan. On the long run, you get to discover that all we need for this scanning phase is just open ports, the versions, and any other script that we can get there, any juicy informations, but that might not really come in handy at this phase. So again, so dash n switch here disables DNS resolution, because we are trying, don't forget about trying to find which website is binded to this particular IP address. So that's what that does. Then the dash pn string here, this particular switch, it's for host discovery. It's used to skip the host discovery phase and treat all hosts within the specified subnet as online, regardless of whether they respond to ping request. Some system administrator, they might configure their firewall policy for a particular IP address to be showing you, if you try to ping the IP address, it will be showing you that host is unreachable, and whereas the host is live, but it has been disabled on the area of pinging, meaning you won't be able to ping the host. If you try pinging it, it will tell you that host is unreachable. So for starters, when you see things like that, there are lots of things that could warrant you unable to reach that particular host. Probably maybe there's a firewall blocking it. There are lots of ways that you can go about it. So when we are using the dash pn, we're trying to say, because by default, if nmap try to ping that particular IP address first to see if it is active, if it's find out that it's unreachable, it won't proceed further with the scan. So in order for it to treat all the hosts, which is the target, as active, meaning even though you're trying to ping and it's telling you it's not reachable, still perform the scan on it. That's why this particular switch here is being used, dash pn. Again, we have another switch here, which is the dash T4. So this option sets the timing template to aggressive, because we are trying to run an aggressive, like make it go faster. And you can see we specify a min rate of 1000 here. This option sets the minimum scan rate to 1000 packets per second. And the next thing here is our target IP address. And the dash O and capital N here is trying to say the output results. Don't just show me on the screen and leave it there. I want you to save the output results too, and we specify the file that we want it to save it into. So we're trying to say save the output of this scan result into a particular file. Create a file called scan results.txt and save the result inside. So this is what this does. For those that are new to nmap, I will just quickly show you something very quickly. So you can just do an nmap like this. You can do nmap-h. So nmap-h will bring you all this. It will take you to the help menu to show you some of the switches that you can use. -v for verbosity, -a for an aggressive scan. So it's just endless. So you can see there are a lot of things that you can do with Nmap. So you can see for scripts, for versions, there are just a lot of switches here, right? But for starters, this is one way of seeing the switches and the commands that you can run alongside Nmap. So next thing you can do is you can possibly go online and look up Nmap cheat sheet. Just type on your Google Nmap cheat sheet this way. Nmap cheat sheet. Yeah, Nmap cheat sheet. Type it this way on your Google, and it will bring up a cheat sheet for you that you can use. This will bring up all the major and basic commands in Nmap and show you all their functions, right? So you can study that as well. All right, so let's come back to our part here. All right, so let's progress. So let me just save this, for instance. Let me save this. But just so before we go far, let me come back to my terminal. I want to show you something. Ideally, if you want to just do an Nmap scan, we can just do an Nmap scan on that our target, which was 192.168.23.129, like this. And once we hit enter, this 192, I don't think this, I'm correct with this, was 192, 168, sorry, not 169. I think I mixed that. So it's Nmap 92, 168. So this is our target, 168, 23, 129. All right, so you can see very quickly Nmap just went through and brought up all the ports that are open, and you can see the state of the ports. Are open. Port 21, 22 is open, and the services that are running there, right? So you can see very quickly. So, but what we are trying to achieve now, again, it's not just designed for just a single IP address, because there is no time you can, if it's just a single IP, you can achieve that even without using any automation, right? Because it's just one IP address. So what's the point? But I'm telling you of when you are dealing with subnets, you need to learn this, especially if you want to really mature in this field, because far beyond what you are thinking it is outside. Because on the outside, go to try hack me or hack the box, it's just a single IP. But again, coming into the real world now, where everything is in subnet, if you want to perform a vulnerability analysis from a VAPT for an organization, for instance, their server can be on a particular subnet. By subnet, I mean from 0 to 255 IP address makes up one subnet. So a server, they can have servers running on that particular subnet, and the next subnet they might have their IP phones. This is a different subnet completely. Example, let me think. Let me try to do this. So we have 192.168.23. Might have .0. If it's a /24 subnet, we might have this one subnet, for instance, and we might have another subnet again. Have another subnet of 192, and but this time around now, it might not be 192, it might be 193 subnet, or let's say 165, like this. So this guy here is in a different subnet completely. So you might have this. Probably this one might be their for their server. This one might be for their IP phones. You might have another subnet again for, let's say, their workstation, which comprises of their PC, their desktop, and likes. You might have another subnet again for their cameras, and so on and so forth. If it is an organization with lots of external APIs like a mobile app, they might have another subnet for that as well. So take, for instance, you are dealing with multiple subnet. Again, this for one subnet, as it is for like this /24 subnet, it means that this particular IP address here goes from 192.165.23.1.0, you get .2, like that, .3, and .0.1, .4, .5, up to, you get up to 255. So if you are scanning one subnet, you are expecting a full range of informations, because it will scan 255 IP address
for one subnet and give you information. So what happens when you're dealing with multiple of these subnet? Like as I was just explaining to us that I've worked alongside hundreds of subnets for just one organization. So you can imagine. So that's where you get the full potency of bash scripting. You get the full importance of this bash scripting. So I'll just quickly save this. We just save this. Okay, it's saved already. So if we run these scripts like this, for instance, so this will perform an nmap scan here. We've seen we specify the mean rate here on this particular target, and it will output the results here for us instead of just populating the result on the screen to save this result. So I'll just quickly save this and run that so you can see before we progress. So I can close this. All right, so the next thing I want to do here is to change the permission for this guy, for this particular script here. So I've taught you how to do that. We do sudo change mode 777. Of course, that's for me now, but you need to understand advanced bash sh. All right, I'll hit enter, password. Okay, I believe that is that. So when we do an ls here, you can see, all right, now I can execute this particular script by just doing this. Okay, and in split seconds our result should be out, and it will still, okay, let's see.
So I still made a mistake. Instead of 168, I use 169. So I'll quickly open my mouse pad and I will effect that correction.
Okay, so I'll just quickly clear these. We need to do mousepad. Let's open mousepad. Let's correct that particular IP address. It's not 169, it's 168. 168. I'll just save this. I'll close this. Just do an ls here first. Remove that. Okay, so just clear this. If I do an ls here, all right, so it's clear. So we'll launch that again. Okay, so our result is up, and you can see our results. And if we navigate into our file, our folder, for instance, you can see that we have a scan result, a txt file, a scan result, which we specify because we said do perform the scan and save the result into this and create a file and save it into that particular file, and we give the name of that file as scanresult.txt. So we might want to cut that particular file now, and you can see we have a full result here of the scan we just carried out. Okay, so let's progress with the script. Just clear this. Let's progress. I'll launch my mouse pad again, and let's progress. So just make this bold. Okay, so the next thing we want to do, we want to develop the script more further. Now we've gotten a result here, but since it was just for a single IP address, so the result is not really much. But at take for instance, we're dealing with a subnet of, let's say, /24 subnet, meaning this was supposed to go all through 255 IP address, right? From 0 to 255 IP address. You know that's a really long shortcoming. So the scan result here would have been really bulky, and it will give us what we are trying to achieve. But again, since we're just dealing with a single IP, just follow me and get the understanding so that you can replicate this when you're dealing with subnet 129 here. All right, so the next thing we want to do, let me just comment here. Let me say grep. Let me just use grep for instance. I will explain. Let's say grep IPs for instance. Is a comment. I'm trying to write a comment so you understand what we're trying to do. Grep IPs with open ports from the above list, right? From the above list. Okay, or from the above file. I beg your pardon, from the above file. So let me explain now. So when performing an nmap scan for a subnet, the result is always large. And now take for instance, we've saved the result into this file. The result will come up with both hosts that are up and hosts that are not up to show you ports that are open and ports that are closed as well. It will give you a full result like that. But now, meaning you are at that point now, you're supposed to carry out a manual um, filtering, trying to check from the first IP address, check the ports that are open, the service running, copy it, and check the IP address that are open, check the IP address like that, like that, like that. But these things take time and you can't go far. Imagine you are doing this for a lot of subnets, right? Where one subnet is giving you a 255 IP address. You don't have that time. So now we are writing another script now. This particular script now, we open this particular file. Yes, this particular file result now, and fish out all the IP address with open ports and save them to another file for us, right? So this is a way of filtering, because this result always comes really, really bulky and naughty, if permit me to use that word. But we're trying to filter out just the IP address with the open port, and now we output that particular result into a new text file. So to do that, we'll just do command cat, and we specify this particular guy here. I can just copy that, and I will just paste. So cat, we are saying cat this file. Okay, let me just write the syntax so I will explain. Cat that, and the next thing we want to do is we want to pipe. I'll explain to us in a minute. And grep, explain to us this trying to achieve here. Grep dash, let's do before. Specify what we want to grep now, open, and I'll pipe again. Grep, for instance, grep, let's see, grep dash o, and I'll quote this now. I'm trying to make, I'll quote this and this. So just do 0 to 9, and I'll close that. Open these, do 1 and 3. 1, 3. Just follow me. I will explain this once I'm done. 1 and 3 here. Next thing I'll do is this, and I can close this now and open. Just write 3 here. Close that. Next thing we want to do is like this, to 0 to 9. I can close that now and open finally 1 and 3. 1 and 3. I will explain this just in a brief. I'll explain this. Okay, so I can close my string now. All right, and where we appending to append to. Okay, let's save it to, let's say live host. Let me use that word, live host.txt. Okay, all right. So let me explain this particular line now. So you know what the cat command does, right? So cat command, we're trying to say once you're done with this, save that's for line 3, perform a scan on our target, save the results to this particular file, and now our line 5 is now saying open that particular file, and the pipe here, this is a pipe symbol which redirects the output of this file, which redirects the output of the previous command as input to the next command. What this pipe does is, once this cat command open this file, we're using the grep command, this pipe here, sorry, we're using this pipe command to really call the information that is inside here, to really push this information to issue out another command. We're trying to say now the cat has opened this file, we've cut this file, and now what else? Now we're using this pipe now to call the information inside here. Now we want to collect the information inside here. What do we want to do with this information? And now we use the grep command. We're saying the grep command here now. This grep command, what the grep command will do now, the grep dash b4 open here This command search for lines containing the word open, to search the entire file here, inside this file here, for the lines containing the word open, and print those lines along with the preceding 4 lines. That's where you see that there should be 4 options here. So just to explain again, the cat command will open this file. We're using the pipe now to say give me the input now, and now the pipe now will collect this input, and now we're using the grep command now to open that particular input, look into it and filter out all the lines with open, that has the word open inside. Now once that is done, you can see another pipe here with grep -0 and a whole lot of numbers here. So what this particular line does is that this command uses extended regular expressions, which is the grep here now, to extract IP address from the input using the pattern, right? Let me explain something so that just to further make you understand. Take for instance xsx xsx xsx. I'm just trying to replicate IP address here. XSS. So you can see where xxx is where xss, let's say where xss now represents a number from 0 to 255, right, which is actually a subnet. So 0 to 255. So let me explain this particular line. Cut the result from the above. This is the result. Yes, now open that particular result, and now I'm using pipe now to say give me this result. Let me see. And when this pipe here now collects this result, I'm using the grep command now to like look into that result and go through and find every line in that particular document that has the word open. Right, now I see another pipe here again. Now what this one does now is that for those lines with the word open, this line now will fish out all the IP address it finds on that line. So what this particular syntax is doing here now, like as I earlier explained, so it uses an extended regular expressions using the grep here now to extract IP address from the input using the pattern. You can see xsx, 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 right, where this xsx represent a number from 0 to 255, for instance. So basically this is what this particular line is doing. And finally append that result into a text file, a new file now called lifehost.txt, for instance. Now we're trying to save it now into a new text file which we call lifehost.txt. So from this scan results that contains chunk of informations, we line 5 now say open that information, pipe it, grep, that is grep, search for the line containing the word open. Remember, we might have on a result, we might have open, we might have closed, some ports might be open, some might be closed, some IP address might be closed, so it's not reachable like that. So we are mostly concerned with the open ports, the IP address with open ports. So once this guy fished out all the IP address with open ports, now the next command now we extract just those IP address alone that has ports open and leave the ones that have closed ports, and now it will output the result and save it into a text file which we says let it be lifehost.txt. We say save it into lifehost.txt. So what we get here are just active host, live host with all open ports, right? So next thing we want to do here is that now we've saved the result here. The next thing we want to do now is we want to perform a deep scan now on this particular IP address, on the particular live host here, the filtered IP address here. So to do that, we'll just do nmap. Of course, I taught you this switch already. -n, disable DNS discovery, -p, capital P, disable host discovery. The other one was DNS lookup, and we'll specify our switch here, -small s, and capital S and VC, for instance, version and script. So this will a TCP dash big S here. This particular switch is comes with nmap. It's saying this is a switch to scan for, this is a TCP sync scan, and this V is to scan for version, and this to scan for script. So for every port and services it's fine. For every service is fine, it will tell you the version of the versions of the particular services that is running there. uh, and also if there's any script attached to it, it will show you this is what this particular switch does. So we're scanning for a TCP sync scan, a version scan, V, and script. All right, so the next thing we want to do is the next we want to do, we want to specify our target, where which particular file do we want this guy to scan. So this is a switch, this particular dash, small letter I and capital L, Control C. This particular switch scans
set of IP address from a file, right? So when you have set of multiple IP address contained in a particular file or document, you use the dash IL switch to say scan. I want you to scan every information you find inside this particular file, right? So that's what that particular switch does.
All right, so that's what this dash IL is doing here. But at this point, I might want to specify the path. I might want to specify the path for this live host. Let me just see something. Let me see where we were. Just a minute. Let me see the path again. Get my path so I can specify. So I know we can exploit directory in the I think I'll just have to open this and do an ls here. Just do an ls here. Okay, bash adv was the directory. So just do cd bash adv. I can clear this. So when I do pwd, just to print our present working directory, so this is the part where we are, and this is where we are saving our work, right? So might want to specify this part because that's where the files will be saved inside. Okay, so this live host, now I might add this now, Control V here, home Kali exploit bash adv and live host. Particular scan will scan for TCP sync scan for version scan for script scan, and it will use the information from this guy, from this live host.txt. This all the IP address it can find inside this file, what it will use to scan. So only what we did there was just to specify the paths to this particular file. So just so you are not lost. And now the next thing is we want to have, upon doing this scan, upon performing this scan, what's next? We are trying to say save it now. We want to save it. So we'll do dash small o capital N, output it to where now we can see, I can just say results.txt, results.txt. So it will save this here for us, results.txt.
All right, so just before we execute this particular script, for instance, let's quickly specify the path for this line 5. When we say cat scan result.txt, let's quickly specify the path since they're on same directory. So we'll just copy the same directory we have here, which is the home /kali/exploit /bash -adv. So we'll just paste it behind the scan results there. And once that is that, let me quickly explain line 6 again. So line 6, it's performing an nmap scan. Of course, we have the dash n there, which states that disables DNS resolution, and dash pn, the option treat all who are online. I taught you earlier on. Then we have the dash s svc. So these particular options for the capital S, it signifies a TCP sync scan, and the dash V there, the V stands for the version detection, and lastly C for the script scanning. And we have the dash IL switch. So this option specifies a file containing a list of the target IP address. And lastly, you see we are outputting it to our new text file now.
So I can save this now, and let's go back and execute that. I'll close this. So if I do an ls here for us, okay, I'll just remove this. This was the first result we did, so I'll just remove that. Mind you, when you use remove, you're not literally shredding the file, you're just trashing it, so you can always get it back from your trash. So I will just do an ls here. So this is all what we have inside here. So to run this, I might want to give it a sudo privilege, a sudo permission, because of the kind of scan we are doing here. For a TCP sync scan, you might want a root access for that. So you can use sudo and specify your script this way, right? With sudo, you have given a super user permission, or you can as well switch to a root user, right? You can just do sudo -s, for instance, and I will impute my password, and this takes you to a root. You can see now we are now root user, right? So we can perform this scan without even adding sudo to it. We just execute straight up. But it's not always advisable to stay on the root like this, because if compromised, you can lose a lot of data. By I mean compromise, if you are compromised, your security, it's not safe. It's not always safe to remain on root, but rather just use the root, the sudo privilege. So I'll just quickly exit this, and I'll use the sudo privilege, sudo, and I'll specify my target, advanced, but all right, and I'll execute that. So let's watch that span out. So it has completed the first scan, but see, it's not up, it's not done. It has done the first phase of the scan, and now it's performing the deep scan now, right? All right, so let's just wait for it. It shouldn't take time, since it's just a single IP. Probably the only thing that will take time there is the TCP sync scan there. It's what will make it take time, because we are expecting the versions and any other script. Okay, so you can see this more. It's done now. You can see. Okay, so you can see lots of informations pouring on our screen. Okay, all right. So, but now let's go back to our script. Now let's go back. Let's go back to the function of the bash script now. So I will just clear this because I have all this already. I'll just clear this. I'll do an ls here for us, so you can see now. Let me open that somewhere so I can explain with it. Let me explain with it. I'll just make this mousepad. Oops, I didn't spell that correctly, sorry. I'll just do ls here first. Okay, so I'll just do mousepad. Okay, mousepad advanced sh. I'll just make this bold so I can explain something for us. You can make this mousepad smaller or bring it somewhere here. Okay, I just want to explain something for us. I'll just shift this again. Okay,
So for the line 3, that particular scan only scan for just the ports that was running. So that particular scan was able to detect just the ports. So if we had multiple, as I take for instance, we're scanning subnet for instance now, we've now gotten a case where we have some IP address coming up with closed ports and some open and some unreachable like that, some filtered. So, but since it was just an IP address, that's why we couldn't get much information there. But you can see our scan result on our terminal. You can see the file saved there on our terminal as scan result.txt. So the next thing we did, we initiated another command that opened that scan result.txt and grep all the lines with open ports that was showing open. And also we further initiated another command that grabs just the IP address alone with open ports. And we append it into a new text file called livehost.txt as seen on the screen. All right, so finally, we performed a more detailed scan on the identified live host, right, from that particular text file, which was livehost.txt. And we output the results into a text file that we call results.txt.
I'll just open those results for so we can see the output, how what it looks like. So I'll first of all open the scan result for us, which is the generic one we've seen. I can just look at scan result.txt. So this is the first scan we performed. This was the first scan, and from here we picked out the next script picked out all IP address with open ports. But since we're dealing with just single IP again, you might not really get the hang of this. If we're dealing with subnet, you really understand this because this information was meant to be bulky, like for different IP address. Some IP address will show with closed ports, but services are running, but the ports are closed. As a result, our script, next script, will pick out just the open ports, right? All the IP address with open ports. So I'll just clear this again. One LSF for you. So and we said once it has fished out all the IP address with open ports from this guy, it should save it into this for us. So, but if I open this guy now, you'll find out that it's just one IP address that will be here because it's just one target. So if I do cat live host, so you can see it's just one IP address that has open ports.
But if it was to be a subnet, we would have more than one IP address, right? The essence of this is that so that we don't waste time scanning what is not necessary, because what's the point of scanning an IP address that has all ports closed? So basically, this is what this eliminates for us. The whole attempt here, remember the goal here of bash scripting, it's all about time, saving time here. So once we have these informations, straight up is just to go ahead and scan what is really necessary.
Now, finally, we said use this information here to run a deep scan for us to get the versions and any other script you can find. So I will just quickly cut that for us. Cut that result now. Let me clear this first. So what is that? Okay, result. We just cut result.txt. So you can see this is a full result now coming up, and this is how the result always comes up for each of these ports. I'll just take a minute to just do an explanation on the output here. So this is what happened here. So for TCP, the port is for port 21. TCP port is open. The service is FTP. You can see our versions here. VSTPD 2.3.4, and also server status connected to 193. You can see logged in as FTP, no session bandwidth, control data, VSTPD, and we move. You can see
Again, we can see another information, anonymous login allowed. With this alone, on port 21, an attacker can log into that machine without any password, right? So, but when we go deep into exploitation, I would show you how to hack that particular port and likes. So for port 22, we can see it's an SSH port and the port is open, and you can see the version 4.7 and it's running on Debian, it Ubuntu, and the protocol is 2.0. And also you can see on port 23 it's a TCP. Port 23 is a telnet port, and telnet is it's an really old method of logging or gaining access into a Windows machine, as the case may be. Although it's been replaced now, or practically, should I say, majorly people use SSH, since SSH is a more secure way of accessing or gaining entry into a system. So going down, you can see other ports like port 53 for your DNS. You see port 80, web server, Apache web server there, and the like. So if you go down, you see other juicy informations, right? So basically, this is it for this particular phase of the bash scripting, but you can as well write another script that will help you sort out those particular ports, right? Be able to fish out each of the ports and the services and help you group all these informations into one. All right, with that being said, so for just in case you didn't quite catch a hang of everything we've been doing. So this is advanced bash scripting. It's a way of automating your scans using bash scripting. Again, the whole concept and idea behind this is to make your work look faster, make your work faster, beg your pardon. And also, if you're working in with a larger scope, right, this comes really, really helpful. So for now, just in case you don't quite understand what this is all about, just for now, be more concerned with the knowledge, right? Because going forward, you will find need for this. I do hope you enjoy this lesson. To see you all in my next lesson.